Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, I'm Bea and in today's video I'm gonna give you 10 tips on how to play World of Tanks Blitz. Now, this will be the first of I think more or less 5 or 6 video series, starting from the very bottom knowledge of the games till the more complicated stuff to know. Now, of course, practice is the main thing that will give you knowledge, but if you don't know from where to start, practice will be just useless and you will probably ruin many people's games just trying to figure out what you should do on the field and how. But without further ado, let's get into it. Know your role and respect it. Since the first beginning of the battle, you should know already what you are meant to do on the field, and you can start from a very basic thing: know your tank type. If you're a light tank, a medium, a heavy or a TD, this already tells you a lot of what you are going to do on the field, and as long as you stick with it, you are going to let your tank perform at its own best. For example, if you're a light tank, you are meant to spot, because you are the tank with more mobility and more view range, so this will allow you to spot the enemy tank and come away without taking shots. Instead to camp, for example, in the back, that is a thing for TDs, for example. TDs may be meant to camp a little bit in the back, or at least sit in the back of the map on a certain spot to give support to the flanks, to the heavy or light flank, depend on the map, on the enemy lineup and so on, but TD are meant to support in a very deadly way, but are meant to support. They can't hold the first line, for example, which is the role of the heavies. The heavies has to be on the first line, on the main battle place. They have to be there. They cannot go around the map chasing some tanks. That is the role, for example, of the mediums. Mediums are very flexible tank, so they can support the light tanks, can support the heavy tanks, can chase tanks around the map if necessary, if they have the chance. They can do both the roles more or less. They are flexible and that is that main skill. So, what I'm trying to say, try to stick with your tank role. Like that you are going to perform at your own best. Of course, many tanks have the chance to perform in different ways, but this is a more complicated thing to know, to talk about later. Don't stop in the open to shoot. Sounds crazy to say, but even crazier to see it, and I see it very often. Don't stop in the open just because you saw a target and that is what you are meant to do. You are meant to shoot, so you have to shoot that tank. Don't do that, because once you are in the open, you become the main enemy target, because you are easy to pan. What's better to shoot something easy to pan or something easy to destroy, and any cover close to you will become very, very far, as long as you will realize that you are getting tracked, you are getting shot from many sides, and you have no way to hide yourself. And this leads us to the next point: use covers. So first of all, you are going to search for a cover. Open your eyes, look around, find some good spots where you can hide your tank and you can plan the target and see how the enemy are moving around. Don't stop in the open and start to shoot with no reason. You will waste very, very few seconds. Know what you're going to do next. It's very related to what we just said. Maybe it's the next step of what we just said. So, for example, if you are going towards an enemy tank that is one shot to you, you have to know already what you are going to do after you kill that tank. Because a miss, a bounce, it's just an unpredictable thing on the way, which will take you more time to afford what you were going to do. But then, which will be your next step? Which will be your next target, for example? Or even, you are pulling out in a very risky place just to kill a tank, which is fundamental for the battle. Okay, fine. You have to know exactly which will be your ending spot where you can hide yourself. The precise spot, you have to have it clear in your mind. You cannot go there, kill that tank, and then, yeah, okay, let's see where I can hide myself. You have always to be aware of which will be your step during the whole battle. Stay with your team. It's a very simple rule. Stay with at least somebody. Don't go alone around the map. Don't make the hero that hard flank the enemy side and kill them all from the side sniping. This is not cool, this is not useful, and many times drives you into an ambush from the enemy, where if you find just one or even two tanks against you, 2 versus 1, you lose. 1 versus 1, well, depends on the enemy tank you find, but if you are alone, you will attract a lot of enemy attention. So don't do that. Try to help always somebody together with you. If the team split, find yourself together with other. You have to give fire support to your teammates, and they will give you back fire support towards your target. I know recently the game doesn't show so much team play around the field, but yeah, forget about that. You have to always to keep in mind that team play is what gives you the chance to win. Don't expose too much when you shoot. When you shoot a target, you don't need to see all the enemy tank just to choose which is the best spot where to shoot him. You have just to expose the tiny little amount necessary to shoot the first visible enemy weak spot and then go back into cover. Don't look to the overall tank, because keep in mind that as much as you can see of the enemy tank, as much that tank can see of you. A good way to do so is with the next tip. Pre-aim before to pull out. All you gotta do is to expose yourself that little tiny amount we just said before, aim for the weak spot on the enemy tank and go back into cover. Like this, you will rise a lot your precision on the shot, because you will have the time to aim the target, keeping the gun in the direction of the enemy spot, and then when you will expose, your reticle will be already on the enemy weak spot. You will shoot with a lot of chances to hit, and you go back into cover in a matter of a second. Otherwise, if you are going just to expose, swing your gun, aim for the target, that will take a long lifetime, and this will give you a lot of time to your enemy to shoot you. Focus fire. This is a golden rule. When your teammates are shooting a certain tank, or even just one of your teammates is shooting a tank, try to keep shooting the same tank. As more tanks are shooting just one, as fast the HP of that tank will go away immediately. So it will be much easier to stop a tank from pushing or holding a certain spot, just focusing fire on that tank. That tank will start to try to or run away or hide himself and reset his camo, trying to don't expose very often anymore, because the HP are going away very quickly. If you are in a brawl moment, even more, figure out which is the focus tank from your teammates and focus him as well. As quickly you kill a tank, as quickly you will win the battle. Prioritize the weak target. What you want to do first in a battle is to take off as much guns as possible from the fields. Doesn't have to be enough for you to have weak enemies. You have to have dead enemies, because even one tank with 1 HP left can still deal damage to you and your teammates. This don't have to happen. If you have weak tanks, shoot them first. And the last tip would be watch the minimap. Watch the minimap, because it's a very powerful tool you have at your disposal, and you have to use it in order to have much more information that your view can give you. Because try to imagine if you are behind a rock trying to reset your camo or hiding from your enemy, you don't have the chance to see precisely where the enemy tanks are placed. So if you look on the minimap, you know what is happening around you and which will be your next move in order of the battle situation. Sometimes it's necessary to know where the enemies are placed, other times even to know where your teammates are placed, because sometimes, and believe me, it don't happen very rarely, that your teammates just move away from your spot, leaving you there alone, bait for any other enemy tank. You don't want that. You want to realize that even if you are in a moment where you can't see around. Just check that minimap, you will see it immediately and you will have the chance to save yourself once more. So these were my first 10 tips on how to play World of Tanks Blitz. I hope you did enjoy the video, and if you did, just don't forget to like the video and leave in the comment what you think about these 10 tips. If you agree or you don't, I would really appreciate to know it. And as well, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it very, very much. So guys, see you on the next video. In the meantime, have fun and keep tanking. See you guys. Bea Fioi.